Hey guys, I'm your State Representative Nate Shannon, and I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of reading and to celebrate March's Reading Month with you. But we'll get to that later. So what is my job? What is a state representative? My main job is to represent you in the House of Representatives, which is right behind me. Another word for my job is lawmaker. So I help make laws that I believe are good for our community and our state. The other big part of my job is to help people in my district that may be having problems. So I love my job. I look forward to coming to work every day. Usually, I would be with you in the classroom, but this year we all know that things are a little bit different. I thought it would be fun to show you where I work and give you a quick tour of the beautiful Capitol building here in our state capitol in Lansing. I am happy to be joined today by one of the Capitol building tour guides, and I would like to introduce Cambria, and she will be giving us a quick tour of the building, and then when the tour is done, I'd like to read a book for you.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Michigan State Capitol. The building you see behind me here is the third Capitol Michigan has had. Our first Capitol was in Detroit, and then we moved our Capitol here to Lansing about 10 years after we became a state. Then when we were in Lansing, we were in a second temporary Capitol and then moved into this building in 1879. Now, our third Capitol here was built to look like the National Capitol in Washington, D.C. So if you kind of look at a picture of those two buildings side by side, they'll look a lot alike. You see the big dome standing in the center, and there's equal wings out in both directions. Our architect was a man named Elijah Myers, and he thought it would be really cool if the building where we make the laws for the state of Michigan looked like the building where we made the laws for the entire United States. And so that's the reason why these buildings look a lot alike. With that, why don't we head on inside and take a look?
Hey guys, all right, now we're inside the building and we are located in the Capitol Rotunda, and I'm gonna have Cambria explain to you about this area.
So we get a lot of visitors to the Capitol on a normal year. And when we have students visit us, we often have them come in here and lay down in the center of the rotunda on this glass floor you see here. Our glass floor is less than an inch thick. It's about 5/8 of an inch thick, but it's very strong. This floor will hold up to 40 tons, which is 80,000 pounds or about the weight of 20 elephants. And when you lay on the floor, you get the best view of the inside of the Capitol. So I'm gonna actually start talking at the top of the dome and work my way down. Now up at the top, in the center of the dome, there's a blue circle called the oculus. And in that, there's a bunch of stars. There's about 110 stars up there. They're made out of gold and platinum leaf. That gold and platinum leaf is thinner than a piece of your hair. It's real platinum, it's real gold. But those stars are not a constellation. They're not in any particular order. What they do is they remind us to reach for the stars, to try hard, to do our best to have a bright, shiny future here for the state of Michigan. Now, a little bit lower than those stars, there are 8 ladies. Those are not real women who have lived before, but they're symbols or allegories. Each one tells us a little bit about what we should work on to have that bright, shiny future. So for example, we have a lady up there for agriculture and farming. So we're saying if we grow things and if we sell them, we'll have a bright, shiny future here in the state of Michigan. Same thing for industry, for building things in factories. We have a lady up there for education. She's particularly important in this month. March is Reading Month. If we study hard, we do our best to have a bright, shiny future. That's one of the ways to make Michigan a better place. So again, I said there are 8 ladies up there. They are industry and manufacturing, trade and commerce, education, art and architecture, agriculture and farming, law and government, science and justice. The other really cool thing from this space is that you can see the rotunda railings for our other floors above us, the floors where our representatives meet to make our laws. And then back down here a bit, I also like to point out the flags here because these flags remind us of our soldiers who fought in the Civil War. Michigan was very important in the Civil War. We sent about 90,000 soldiers to fight in that war. That was almost half of everybody in our entire state that was allowed to go and fight at the time. And we promised those soldiers when they came back to Michigan that we would remember what they did during that war. And so we keep flags here to remind us of those soldiers.
We are now on the second floor of the Capitol building, outside of the House chamber and also the Senate chamber. And I'm gonna let Cambria take over and tell you a little bit about what takes place up here.
So this is the floor where the legislators meet to vote on our ideas for laws. Visitors coming in on a normal day to visit the Capitol can view the session from the third floor, but it's also available online if you can't make it here to Lansing. As your representative mentioned, on the north side of the building here, we have the House of Representatives, where Michigan's 110 representatives meet to vote on our ideas for laws. On the south side of the building is the Senate. Michigan has 38 senators who also meet to vote on our ideas for laws. And when we vote on our ideas for laws, over half of the representatives and over half the senators have to say, yes, we like this idea for a law. Now that bill, that idea for a law, would then go to the governor, whose office is just around the corner out of sight here, and the governor can sign the bill, it becomes a law, or the governor can veto a bill, say, I don't think that's such a good idea for a law. Now if the governor says no, if the governor vetoes a bill, that doesn't mean it can never become a law again. If the representatives and senators still really like that idea for a law, they can vote again. But the second time they vote, 2/3 of the representatives and 2/3 of the senators have to say, yes, we still think this is a good idea for a law. If they can do that, that bill becomes a law, even if the governor didn't want it to be. Now, one more thing I want to point out in this space is we're actually standing in an area we call the Gallery of Governors. This is where we have portraits of some of the most recent governors to serve the state of Michigan. More recent governors are here on the second floor, and a little bit older governors on the third floor. And then after governors are older than that even, they go somewhere else in the building. So sometimes in the chambers, sometimes in the hallways, or even sometimes in special rooms throughout the Capitol.
All right, so we're back. Now we're on the House floor, and this is my desk where I sit, and over here is where we push a button to vote either yes or no on a bill that's coming up before us. And so I did want to talk about my job a little bit, but I want to talk more importantly about reading. Well, why is reading so important? Well, your brain is like a muscle, right? And like the rest of your body, it's important to exercise that muscle. And one way to do that is to read frequently. We know that when students read frequently, they do better in school, and it helps make their schoolwork easier. But also, it's fun to read, right? Books can take you on fun adventures or help you learn something that is interesting to you. So I strongly encourage you to read. So with that, I brought a book, and I'm going to read to you, and I hope you all like it. So the book that I brought is If I Ran for President, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, it would be great to run for President of the United States. If I ran for president, I'd hope the people of the United States would choose me for a very important job, the job of leading our country. And I'd hope to follow in the footsteps of past presidents such as George Washington, our first president, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. I'd have to think carefully about my decision to run for president. I would want to know how my family felt about it too. Then I'd ask myself, am I the best person for the job? Am I ready to work very, very, very hard for my country? Do lots of people believe in me? And will they help me run for office? If I could answer yes to all of those questions, then I'd declare my candidacy. That means I'd announce I was interested in the job of President of the United States. If I ran for president, I'd run a campaign to let voters learn all about me. People who thought I would be a good president would donate money or time to help. I'd hire people to work on my campaign too. Campaigns can make a candidate famous. Soon my name or face would appear on signs, buttons, bumper stickers, and t-shirts. I'd even star in television commercials. If I ran for president, I'd work with my political party. That's a group of people who share the same beliefs about how the country should be governed. They support candidates who uphold those ideas. The two major parties are the Democratic Party, their symbol is a donkey, and the Republican Party, their symbol is an elephant. There are other parties too called third parties. But people besides me would want to be president. The Republican and Democratic parties must choose whom they will support in the election. In some states, like Iowa, the parties each hold meetings called caucuses, where members pick their favorite candidate. In most states, party members hold an election called the primary. Caucuses and primaries show which candidates are popular with the voters and who might have the best chance of being elected president. The first primary is held in New Hampshire, in the winter before the presidential election. I'd be sure to visit there, but I'd definitely bundle up. In the summer before the election, the political parties announce their candidate for president. The major parties make this announcement at meetings called conventions. Each state sends delegates to conventions. Delegates vote for the candidate who is most popular in their state. A convention looks like a big celebration full of cheering and chanting, balloons and confetti. Millions of Americans watch the excitement on TV. But by the time of the convention, everyone usually knows which candidate will be chosen, but the delegates still hold the vote. If my party chose me to run for president, I'd make a speech to get everyone excited about helping me to win. I'd tell the American people about my platform, which is my plans and ideas for our country. My running mate would make a speech too. That's the person who would be my vice president if I became president. If I ran for president, I'd be invited to debate with other presidential candidates. A person called a moderator would ask us questions. People across the country would listen carefully to our answers. Reporters would ask me questions too about my life, my family, and even my kitty, Sassy. They'd print old photographs of me in newspapers and magazines, like the snapshot of me in my superhero costume or my baby picture when I still wore diapers. If I ran for president, I would travel the country to meet lots of people. I'd have my own campaign bus or airplane to take me from place to place. Inside, there'd be comfy seats, perfect for checking out the news, writing speeches, and thinking about how to solve the nation's problems. I'd take naps too. I'd need the extra rest. I'd work hard and be very busy. All in one week, I might share cereal with kindergartners in California, crunch corn with farmers in Kansas, and have a dinner in Delaware where I'd order the Blue Plate special with apple pie and a large strawberry milkshake. After all that food, I might not feel well too. Still, I'd have to smile and talk with the people I met. Presidential candidates make lots of speeches, shake hands, and cuddle babies. Finally, in November, Election Day would arrive. If I ran for president, I'd be nervous and excited. On Election Day, millions of voters from across the country go to their polling place to cast their ballots, and that's another way of saying they would vote. In our country, people vote in private. No one but you knows how you voted, but I know I'd choose my favorite candidate, me. Once the voting is finished, officials count up the ballots, then comes the announcement on television, radio, in the newspaper, and on the internet. People everywhere find out who will be the next president of the United States. I'd stay up late and keep my fingers crossed. If I ran for president and lost, the people who worked so hard on my campaign would be disappointed. I'd be disappointed too. Still, I'd be proud that I'd taken part in a free and fair election. I'd make a telephone call to offer my best wishes and my support to the winner, our next president. But if I won, on January 20th, I'd say the words of the oath of office and be sworn in as president. On that day, my inauguration day, there'd be a parade and a fancy ball. Then, I'd move into the White House in Washington, D.C. to begin my 4-year term as the President of the United States of America. And what would I do when I became president? Well, that's another story. Well, I hope you enjoyed the book, guys. Just want to, once again, encourage you to read regularly. This is really important for your growth and to make sure that you are successful in life. So from State Representative Nate Shannon, sit down and find a book and have a good time. Thank you so much.